We were at our house. We were at the balcony, sipping on the cup of coffee you made. It was about 4:30 a.m., approximately 20 minutes before the sun rose. It's been more than 2 years since we were sitting together. I really missed your company. We have had a fun evening today, and right now, a great dawn. I said in the covet to strike a conversation. Instead, you just nodded your head, smiled a bit, and kept looking at the sky and sipping on the cup of coffee you made. I took a little sip from my cup in disappointment and embarrassment and looked at you. Your face still had that calming feel to it, the feeling of being at home, but that face of yours seemed to have been lost in the cup of coffee and in the hope of seeing the sunrise. I remember the time since we started dating. You were wrapped with staying up all night, and you gradually developed your love for the rising sun. Because that is all you had to do. Because I used to sleep the whole time. But since the day we quarreled and you left, I could not sleep. I could not sleep, so I pretty quickly developed the same interest. And it is truly mesmerizing to watch the sun rise. I sometimes used to record the whole scene in my phone. I said again, letting go of my self-esteem, trying to justify all the wrongs I have committed. You again nodded your head and took a sip, but this time you smiled slightly. It's been more than 2 years since we stayed together or even had a proper conversation. But still, even today, I regard this house as our house. I just don't know what else to say. I really wanted to be with you. I genuinely never knew when I hurt you. But it really broke my heart when I got to know that I broke you too many times for it to be mended. I should have just talked it out with you rather than screaming and shouting at you like that. I have done all the wrongs and only wrongs. I broke down as I said all this. It had piled up for a long time inside of me. As soon as I completed saying all this, you looked at me, held my hand with your left hand, smiled a little, trying to comfort me, and with your right hand you pointed at your ears and mouth and politely reminded me that you had lost the power to hear or share anything in an accident about 5 years ago. I apologized and tried my best to translate in sign language with all the emotions. I had learned sign language only because of you, talk to you, to communicate with you. As I was done, you smiled at me again. You left the hand you were holding and with your right hand pointed at the engagement ring on the ring finger of your left hand. I rubbed my hand behind my head and looked back at the azure sky. The sun was on the verge of rising. We both saw it and sipped on the cup of coffee you had made.